We have a compilation of big or hard earwax plugs for you today, guys. My name is Reese Barber. I'm one of the audiologists here at Audiology Associates.
And my name is Taylor Green and I'm the other audiologist here. So we're going to be talking through this wax removal, explaining the tools we're using, explaining the methods and the reasons why we tend to use them.
Yep.
Trying something a little bit different, see how this goes.
Yes, we'll give it a go.
Anyway.
This is actually one of Katie's follow-ups. I did mention this in the members video yesterday. So basically what we've got is we've got a tough old plug here. Now I've tried using a bit of suction, but the surface of the plug is so hard that we can't actually get a grip on it with the suction. So I've switched up to a manual tool. So this is the right curette, and you can see I'm putting a bit of pressure on the top of this plug, and it's just bending. You can see how the tool is flicking off the top. The reason for that is this particular patient's ear canal. This plug is not just wax. This is wax and keratin. You can see the keratin now, that kind of rippled light color just there in the center of the screen now. So that's keratin. Now keratin is dehydrated skin, aged old skin, and it goes tough like leather. So it goes really, again, yes, well, your hair and nails are made out of, it's keratin. So skin should migrate out the ear canal really, really well. 2 seconds. Look at that plug. That is a beastie. So it is. It should migrate out really, really well. And then you've got the newest form skin is right in the center of the eardrum. That's that shiny object you can see further down. And the oldest skin is right at the entrance to the canal, by which point it's dehydrated a lot and hardened up, and it should break away and fall away with the wax. Now what we've got here now is an accumulation. I know. It's an accumulation of that really thick keratin dead skin, so that's why it was tough as old boots to get that one out.
Yeah, there's I think there was 4, I'm not sure if you mentioned already, there's 4 patients in this compilation and they're all very, very similar.
Yes.
This is my patient now, so again, very, very, not quite as hard as the patient we just saw on Reese's, but we've got a very similar kind of method here. So we got the right curette, which is the sort of oval, kind of slightly curved.
Yeah.
It's not a hook, but
no, that's a hook.
That's a hook. Yeah, that's a hook.
It's more like it's like a hoop.
A hoop. Yeah.
It's probably a good way to describe it.
Then, yeah. So the patient has been using a little bit of oil, which is why the front surface was just a little bit kind of sticky. But you usually get towards the back end of these plugs, you get like a harder, drier, sort of solid piece. Which is not a bad thing in most cases, because it's actually a lot easier to remove when you've got those harder pieces there.
And this is why you're switching between these two ends, because you're pressing that down to try and get to this back section here.
Yeah, so you've got that little gap there. We can't go too far, obviously, because the eardrum is just beyond this.
It's pulling through, isn't it? It's very soft. You're almost looking for that hard underlayer.
Yeah.
Which you found.
Which, there it comes.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
A bit of a scoop on that one. And this is what they always tend to come out really clean as well, don't they? They look really messy, but when they come out, they look really clean afterwards. It's really strange.
Just under 3/4 of an inch, I'm going to go on that one. Oh, yes. Now, if you're watching the video, I think I mentioned this either on Friday's video or Monday's video, that I had a really, really hairy ear canal. Now, stick with this one, guys. It looks quite difficult. The visual's a little bit difficult right at the start. It does improve as we go through it, okay? So I've got the standard sized Zollner tube in here, and it looked like it was one solid wax plug, but I'm getting the grip, and it's almost like this licorice kind of chewing gum sort of consistency. It's not brilliant. And then when I start to pull this away, I can work out what actually is happening here. So what we have is a much softer plug, but knitted all the way through it is hair.
You can see it.
Yeah, so we've got soft layer of wax, layer of hair, soft layer of wax, and it makes it really, really hard to remove, because suction doesn't work particularly well with hair, because to get a good suction grip, you need to be able to bed into the surface, and you need to block the whole end of the suction so you get the suction grip and the pressure starts to build, and then you draw. With hair, if you imagine you've got a nest like this, you're trying to suction through it, but the air is passing through the gaps in the hair. So it means that you don't get that suction grip. So I'm alternating here between, these are the crocodile forceps, great for grabbing clumps of hair and pulling those out. And then the back to the suction to suction away the next lot of sticky wax, and then you're getting to the next lot of hair. Now, the one question I know, if you're a new viewer, you're going to be screaming at the screen right now is why on earth do you not cut the hair? We don't tend to cut the hair. I've been to some training courses where they recommend you grab the forceps, which is what you just saw, grab a clump of the hair and rip it out before you start. That just sounds horrific to me. So if we can work past the hair, which in most cases, in fairness, with the endoscope, so the camera we're recording this with is known as an endoscope. So you have a straight endoscope, basically with a 90 degree view at the front. No, it's not a 90 degree. It's a 0 degree view at the front. So you're looking straight down. You can get them with angled views if you're doing lots of noses or throats. You can get them to the angle downwards at 45, 90 in various different angles. But so you've got the camera, so you can push through the hairs and then get to beyond with the actual tools as well. So I'm fighting with this. Now, what I'm doing is looking to see what Taylor just did, which is looking for any gap at the top, because this wax is starting to thicken a little bit. So as Taylor said earlier, I'm looking for that harder section that sits behind this plug. And if I can just remember, if you're watching this again, remember the Rye curette and Jobson horn and those kind of tools, they work really well as scoops. So you want to be able to get behind and scoop forwards. So that's what I'm looking to try and do here. So I can see it pulling, and the back end you can see we've got a texture change, but we've also got a colour change, darker wax, usually older wax. So we know we're hitting that kind of slightly more solid piece at the back end of this plug, but it's coming away really, really well.
This is usually, all this hair you're seeing in here is usually the result of either the patient trimming their own ear hair, which again is one of the reasons why we don't really do it. Not just for that reason, but or haircuts. Sometimes just having a normal haircut can, some can fall in.
But look at this hairy beastie.
Look at that. Do you find any eggs in that?
But the eardrum looks lovely.
Nice again, and clear. Like we mentioned on the last one, usually come out really clear.
They do. Now this was the other ear canal. The patient will be using lots of Otex on it. A very quick one because we just did irrigation on this side. Irrigation is much, much better with this soft, squishy wax. So irrigation is where we rinse the ear canal with some warm water. It's used a lot in the US and not so much so here in the UK. It's still used every so often. I've put the tools on there as well, so you can get a good idea of the size of that. Was the Rye curette you saw above that plug as well.
Tiny.
Back to you, Albert.
Very, very, not quite as hairy. I mean, we will always see hair inside, patients' ear canals. You're not going to not have any hair in there. But very, very kind of similar consistency. Maybe a little bit more dry than what your patient was just now. So we've got the standard size ulnar tube here just to try and get a good grip. Now what I'm doing at this point, I'm not pulling backwards, I'm just shimmying side to side and in circles to try and detach that very thin layer of dry skin that is holding this in place. It's already quite mobile, so that's already a good sign that this should be popping out any second.
You see you just start to turn that front end as well to get that moving.
Now, when I'm kind of, in the middle of doing this, sometimes I kind of look at the ear canal. So if there's like a little tiny gap or like a reference point, and sometimes you can't see that movement, but as you're wiggling it, sometimes you can see it pulling forwards, but this wasn't really going anywhere. Look how much
That's a long plug. I can see you trying to get behind the back end, but there's still wax there. My word, that's a long plug.
So it wasn't circular, which I thought it was going to be. It wasn't like a little ball. It's actually more of a
sausage.
Basically. God, there was one I did a long time ago, which was on a video. Remember that little like sausage one?
I do remember that. Was a good one.
That was a really weird one. That was.
Guys, if you're there's another 1,239 videos, so you can go back and have a little look at if you want to. And if you do enjoy the videos, like, heart, share, follow, subscribe. Quick in there.
Again, look how clear all these ear canals have been following these. So, I mean, they're like Marmite, and they're like love or hate those ones, because they either come out really nicely or you're there for ages. But the finished product is always a good.
Always a good one.
Good to see.
Guys, if you do enjoy the videos, you can also consider becoming members of the channel as well. You get to see even more videos on a Tuesday and Thursday every single week if you want to do that as well. I have put a recommendation up in the top corner here if you're watching this on YouTube. It is a good one. I'm going to see what it is. Oh, it's an old one. It's a 9 centimeters worth of earwax that comes out of somebody's ear canal. It is one of our first couple we did. It was episode 134, so it goes back a fair way. But go and check that one out because it is a good one. But until we see you again next time, as always, take care of yourselves.
Take care of your ears.
And take care of one another. Myself and the lovely Mr. Terry Green. We'll see you for the next video. And bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.